This conference will
Right.
now be recorded.
Right. So what we have discussed in the last session about the craft skills like communication skills, requirement analysis,
Communications,
functional,
requirement
technical skills, all
analysis.
that we have completed.
Yes.
And today we are discussing about the kind of roles and responsibilities what a business analyst renders in any organization. Because why I have mentioned about the roles, because business analyst is a profile where major job is to understand the requirements and providing solutions, which is known to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But apart from that, depends on the kind of experience what we carry. Assume that, for example, a business analyst person who is having more than 10 years of experience of something of that sort, right? 10 years of experience and all. And if that person is someone who is experienced on project management, something of that,
Mm-hmm.
so they have to render the responsibility as a project manager as well in some occasions. I'm not generalizing this example for everyone. So this also could happen in real environment. It's not only BA. Apart from business analyst, we may be we may require to work as a project manager also. This is point number one. At the same time, apart from that, being a business analyst when you are working on agile environment, because this is where major difference we need to understand. Being a business analyst in traditional model, if you take a traditional model of application development, we have a business analyst role. But whereas when it comes to agile environment, right? Agile is an environment where we use for the project development. If we are working on agile environment, the advantage is that means the kind of roles what we play will be of two different types. One is Scrum Master, second is a product owner. Understood, right? So we have two different roles we have. So in agile environment, we don't see a role called business analyst as separate. Assume that you are a business analyst having experience for about 10-15 years, something of that sort. Example. Now, if you want to work in agile environment, either you will be placed as a Scrum Master or a product owner, any one in that. Right? So responsibilities of a product owner will be entirely different when we are comparing to Scrum Master. So when we're talking about these responsibilities, I'm going to divide these into four different parts. If you are a BA, what you are going to render. If you are a project manager, what you have to perform. If you are a product owner, what you need to do. If you are a Scrum Master, what you are going to do. Right? So this is how generally the classification I'm going to provide now. Okay. I'm just connecting to the system in just a moment. Right. So you're able to view the screen, right? Now? Right.
Yes, Andy. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to explain you about the roles and responsibilities on a Word document. I'll be writing here so that you'll be understand better. So as I mentioned earlier, there are four different roles we play as a BA. Either it is in traditional model or it is in agile environment. The first role is business analyst, right? So if you have a role called business analyst in any of the organization, because why am I mentioning this specifically? Because especially in IT, as you know well aware about, whatever the designation we held and what roles are we playing will have the difference. It's purely depends on that need, right? So you may be designated with one profile, but the kind of role you'll be managing in your organization will be something different, right? Because it's purely depends upon the need at that point of time based upon the experience what we carry. If we are a business analyst, the very first thing what we do is of understanding business problem. This is what the first thing being a BA you have to do. Normally, we get projects from n different ways. because normally we get, because there will be sales and business development teams in every organization. So these teams' responsibility is to get projects from the clients, right? So either they get projects and all everything by submitting quotations and all. So usually these quotations will be of two different types. One is fixed bid, second is FTE. And that detailing I'll explain it later. Okay. One is fixed bid, second is FTE. Fixed bid means fixed amount of money we'll be charging to the client, and we ensure that within that price we'll be completing the project, right? So this is one kind of model. Second model, FTE, stands for full-time employment. Means for this project we require this much manpower. For this much manpower, this is what the hourly charges are, right? This is how generally two kind of quotations we submit to the client. Depends on the client to client. Either we may sometimes give fixed bid, or sometimes we give FTE. Okay. So once you get the project, or once in the process of understanding about the finances and all everything relating to the customer, business analyst will also be there, because sales and business development team, it's not only confined to sales and BD teams, especially in IT, because even technical people will also be there. Means people who have more than 10-15 years of experience, and whoever is having more about project management or release management experience. So these people will be in sales and BD team. This is what we call it as pre-sales team. People will be there, because these people has to involve by preparing RFPs, RFQs, all that, right? So request for proposals, request for quotations, all these they have to prepare. Means a person should have that experience as well. That's the reason why preparing RFPs, RFQs and all everything is what the responsibility these people will take in real environment. Hence, whenever we are working on projects, sometimes being a BA, you will be involving in pre-sales team as well. Underline this point, right? That purely depends on the kind of experience what we have in earlier positions. Means if you had experience, if you have got an opportunity to work on pre-sales team earlier, if that was the case, opportunity will be given by us to prepare to be involved in RFPs and RFQs also. So you require that experience as well. Depends on the project to project. At the same time, depends on the kind of profile what we carry. Now, because those are all exceptional cases, when it is needed we use it. But fundamental role of business analyst starts with understanding the business problem. Means any customer we come across will be for two different reasons. Let's say there is a retail outlet, right? Assume that retail outlet. A retail outlet is using a point of sale system. What is point of sale system? Point of sale system is an application which will be used for billing. Now, either customer may expect us to enhance existing features and functionalities into the existing one, or else customer may be asking us to develop a new application as separate, right or not, right? Means if you want to provide a solution, two things. One, study about the existing one, adding some new features and functionalities into the existing one. This is one kind of thing. Second thing is you are developing application right from the beginning, right from the scratch, right? Either one, any one in this will be taking into an account. Understand, right? Now, either way, either you are developing a new application right from the beginning, or you are enhancing new features and functionalities in the existing ones. Understanding the business problem is what, being a business analyst, you must be good with. This is the first point we have to understand. Understanding the business problem. Once you have understood the business problem, analyze what kind of solution client is expecting. Followed by this, provide business solution. Next, translate business solution to the technical solution. This discussion we had yesterday, if you remember, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
translating
yes.
from business solution to technical solution with the help of technical team. For this, as a part of communication, as a part of requirement communication I'm talking about,
Mhm.
we write we different documents, something like BRDs, SRS, etc. Okay, these we prepare, we write. So BRD stands for
Business relationship
business
document.
requirements document.
Requirements document.
Business requirements document. Second, SRS stands for software requirement specification, right? So either these two, because business requirements document majorly focusing on business requirements, means what is objective, what is goal, right?
Mhm.
What is need, right? What was the existing process, all that. To explain all these business requirements will be used for.
Mhm.
Whereas SRS is a software requirement specification which majorly focusing about the software requirements, means what hardware are you using, what software we are using, right? What operating system we are using, right? What programming language we do use. All this
Mhm.
comes under software requirement specification. So translating whatever the business solution we have identified to the technical solution with the help of technical team by doing feasibility study, because everywhere you have to do feasibility, right? So is it
Mhm. Mhm.
possible for us to develop practically or not? If practical, what can we develop? And what features and functionalities are possible? So what technologies do we require to use? All these discussions uh, will happen among groups, and final conclusion will be taken apart, right? So this is a continuous
Mhm.
process, as I mentioned yesterday.
Mhm.
Next, make sure to complete the solution within the time frame by the team. That is also, being a business analyst, your responsibility is. Now, after that, ensure release of the project along with project documentation. Along with project documentation, because not normally release there will be release managers as separate release managers and all these people, so they takes care of all the releases of the project. So but being a business analyst, we as we have incepted the work, so this is our responsibility. We ensure a proper delivery to the project, to the customer, by
Mhm.
preparing
Mhm.
proper project documentation, by providing some user manuals, all that, right? So you know that project
Mhm.
documentation is required.
Mhm.
So in high level view, if you understand, this is what generally being a business analyst we do in regular intervals.
Mhm.
Understood, right?
Mhm.
So the detailing part I'll explain now, okay?
Okay.
How we do and all that. So the next is a project manager, as I mentioned you earlier. Third is a product owner. Next as a scrum master, right? So these are the four
Mhm.
different roles.
Mhm.
Now I'll be explaining about project manager and all everything later. Now let
Mhm.
us understand these in detail now, right? So these
Mhm.
we are detailing, these we are understanding now. Now the first point, understanding the business problem, means if you want to understand the business problem for any of the customer, what is the first thing you do and how we do that? If you want to understand the business problem, first of all you need to understand
The
the existing
systems.
system, their systems. Their systems means whatever the system they use. Assume that a point of sale system is being using by a customer. So first of all, you have to study the existing system, right?
Mhm.
Existing system. Now, after that, proposed system
by the client, right?
I'll tell you that. Right now, future system. Right, so usually these are three kind of systems are there. This existing system in business analyst terms, we don't call it as existing. This we call it as is environment. Right, in business analyst terms, we call it as is environment. Means this application or a solution, whatever it is, I'm just writing down here. Right, application, what client is using at this point in time is what we call it as existing system. So first of all, what we have to do, if you'd like to know about understanding the business problem, there are a lot of different communication modes we follow, right? We may there is a possibility that sometimes customer will share us the document. Sometimes we conduct meetings across table, right? Virtual meetings. So different modes, like something like observation. Through observation, we get to know many things, right? There are a lot of different communication modes we have. In this communication, among this communication, the very first thing what we have to do is we need to understand what is the existing system, what was the existing system customer is using at this point of time, and what kind of features and functionalities are there in this. Why? Because whenever customer has expressed us the problem, we have to see the reality, right? Is that the one which customer has explained us that is real or not? Now, why, for what reason? Sometimes it due to ignorance and all that, customer may not expressed you the right point. There is a possibility. It's not by intention, maybe because of ignorance. Whatever their requirement and what they have delivered might have the difference. There is a possibility, I'm saying, right? I'm not generalizing for everyone. There is a possibility may happen that one, right? Hence, what is required here? We need to understand the existing system first. This is what we call it as is. Clear, Pawan, right? As is system.
Yes, yes.
We need to understand. Here, what we need to do, you need to understand what are the different features, functionalities that existing system has, that study is needed. This we get to know through observation most of the times, because the reason why business analyst role will be there at the client location also. Client side BA. This is what the role we call it as client side BA. Client side BA means client side you will be a business analyst. So if you are a client side BA, a responsibility for you is that you have to manage the stakeholders, whoever are working under that organization and all. Managing those stakeholders and all, everything is your responsibility. So through observation, we get to know many things, because we'll be interacting with those people. We'll try to see how they are performing their work and all that. So where they are getting problem. It's a continuous process, right? So it's not something happens in one day, right? It's a continuous process, because one business analyst exclusively will be there at the client location in most of the occasions, right? He'll be at the client location. Usually, this is what we call it as on-site BA. We call this word, we call it as on-site BA, right? One business analyst will be there at the client location all the time, interacting with customer, right? Interacting with all the stakeholders, all that, right? So he gather what is required and all, everything. He'll be gathering everything, and he'll discuss to the technical team here, right? So here in technical team, there will be other BS. He'll be interacting with them, and this is how generally the process goes. Now, the second we call it as proposed system. This proposed system in business analysis terms, we call it as to be. In business analyst terms, this is what we call it as to be system. To be means solution we are expecting to deliver or expecting to finalize, right? What kind of, there may be multiple, right? So there may not be one proposed system, or proposed solution may not be one initially, right? You may be coming up with 2-3 solutions. Out of 2-3, what is the practical thing and all that? What are the practical what are the practical ones and all, everything will be discussed here, right? This is what we call it as proposed system. Means proposed system doesn't mean we are not finalizing the solution. Understand this point, right? Here we are not finalizing the problem. What could be the better option, right? Sometimes we may be giving multiple solutions, multiple choices. Among that, we discuss to the technical team and final conclusion will be taken later on, because practical difficulties of implementing it followed by the usage and all everything is also needed. Hence, proposed system is being used for that reason. Now, you could ask me one thing then, Raj, why are we discussing about future system? For what reason? What would be the benefit behind that? Because normally customer is not paying for us for future system, isn't it? Then why are we thinking about, why do we require to think about future system? For what reason, right? So this is the question here. See, future system, see, end of the day, any enterprise requires what? Retaining customer is important, isn't it or not, right? Retaining customer is more important. You have to retain customer for long run. Assume that, for example, if I am taking training, I have to retain my old students. I have to get my new students. Then only my training volume and all everything will be increased, right? So I need to see what kind of services I can provide in future to my students, existing students and all everything. I should have that idea, because once and twice they have to come and utilize my services. So my plan of action in order to see from the long term perspective is that. So any business, any organization, retaining customer is more important, right? Irrespective of the organization I'm talking about, either you're talking about IT or non-IT, whatever it is. So understanding what could be the future system or future requirements customer may have, right? So that understanding is needed here. So here we are not developing anything. So in future system, we try to assess what could be the future needs. That is what the assessment we do. This is what we call it as future system is. Understood? Here we are not developing anything. We are developing existing system. Once we have to study the existing system, then we go for proposed system. Followed by the proposed system, you're going for future system. What is the future system is required, right? What kind of options? Because see, you have developed a application now, right? Right from the beginning, right from the scratch you have developed. After that, after 4 or 5 years, customer is expecting you to add some new features and functionalities. Assume that, right? After 3 years or 4 years. If you say customer that you're going to develop a new application as separate, will it be fair? No. Why? Because they have to change their whole infrastructure, right? Again, they have to invest their time, money, effort, all that, which is not advisable, isn't it? Right or not? So the best part, I can tell you the best part is, earlier if you see, we used to use QWERTY keypad mobiles. There is no possibility for memory transfer, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
After that, whenever we got these Android mobiles, we had a provision. Earlier we had a provision, even till now we had that. We have a provision now to add some extra memory slot, so that if you require any kind of additional memory space, you can buy that for a minimum cost and you can use it for additional memory, right? That is how it is. Now the system has entirely changed, and whichever the mobile you are using, everybody are giving you the cloud account, right? Simply you can log into the cloud account.
Every brand is using it.
Every brand is using, even Samsung, every brand is having, iPhone is, everybody have their own brand, own cloud account. So whatever, if you can register yourself using their credentials and all, so whatever the contact details or your feature memory, photos or videos or whatever it is, everything will be stored there. Even somebody has lost their mobile, they doesn't have any problem, right? Because we can access that cloud, this thing and all everything from anywhere. This is how generally the transformation happened, right or not? Right. So in order to make customer more comfortable to reach what could be their future needs, what customer, what bank, what the mobile manufacturers are doing. Mobile manufacturers have identified as well as chosen a concept called cloud environment, where they are creating a cloud account. They're giving you some limited space. You can store all the data in that, so that whenever you want, you can access it, right? So this is how the transformation is happening. Understood? So they are expecting in what way we can benefit to the customer with the minimum cost is what generally a manufacturer is expecting. This is how generally the transformation goes. So that what will happen, if it is good, you will be ready to use that mobile for a long time, right? You will be the customer for that mobile for a long time. At the same time, you will suggest someone to buy that brand due to the kind of services they have given to you. The same way, whenever we are going to provide a proposed solution, what could be the needs in terms of the future is concerned. In future is concerned is what we need to understand. This is what we call it as future systems transfer. Means what could be their future needs, and do we require any kind of changes to be made in the existing ones by with the minimum cost, so that if you can say that, boss, if you can pay me so this small amount, so that I'll be taking care of remaining things, so that customer will be happy, right? So in spite of going for a new client, new vendor, obviously client will prefer the existing vendor unless until the vendor is giving pathetic services, then only they'll change. Otherwise, normally nobody will do it, because we have that connect, right? So we have a travel, we have a connect with that vendor for a long time. Normally we don't try to change. Even one or two rupees more, no problem, right? Boss, you do it because you're doing for a service for a long time. Please go or carry on. This is how generally happens in any business across the world. So expecting the future needs is also something really important for any BA to understand. This is what the fundamental thing comes under understanding the business problem. Understood? Clear?
Okay. Yeah.
Right, Pawan? Right? This is the first thing. This is what in other terms I can call it as analysis. When we discuss about SDLC and all that, you'll get this again, but in a short note you'll get it. This is where generally we do an analysis phase in SDLC. Okay, this is what we call it as understanding the business problem. Now,
Okay.
so once you understood the business problem, the next you need to finalize a few things. One is objective, need followed by scope, right? Because any solution you are providing, object is important. For what reason you are preparing this solution to the client? What is the objective behind that? If you don't have an objective, what will happen? Whatever the solution you have given might be successful, but not according to the need of the customer. Do you agree or not? Right? You have given a solution, but that is not what customer is expected. That is not customer expected. So there is no value to provide solution to the client. Hence, objectives are something very much important. Means what are the objectives behind developing the solution to the customer is what we have to understand, we have to prepare. This is what we call it as objective stands for. Right? Objective of the customer, objective of the project you are going to develop. Clear, Pawan? Right?
Yes.
Next, second, you need to understand the need. Assessing the need is also something essential to important. Why customer has approached us? For what reason? Right? What is the kind of what kind of solution customer is expecting? This analysis must be there. This is what we call it as need. So objectives and need will have a connect. Next, scope. What is meant by scope? Scope means possibility. In simple terms, I can say possibility, right? Scope means possibility. Means what scope we have. Do we have that scope? Means that whatever the infrastructure customer is having, is that sufficient for us to provide solution? Or do we require customer to suggest customer to change his infrastructure? So do we have the possibility to provide solution with the cost whatever we have? So for that again we have to do cost benefit analysis, feasibility study, all that. This is all something we call it as in scope. Normally, this scope will be of two different types. One is in scope, second is out scope. In scope means which is in our territory is called as in scope, right? In our territory, in our limits. Second, out scope. Out scope means which is not in our limits. What is not in our limits? The duration sometimes, right? So duration may not be in our limits. Why? Because there is a possibility that sometimes whatever the requirements customer has given, customer has changed the requirement. So what will happen? So this is where happens called scope creep. Scope creep means scope changed.
Okay.
Whatever the scope you have identified, that scope has been changed. Why? Due to the reason of this. Because requirements, whatever has given, customer is not on that. Customer again changed those. So what happens? Scope creep happen. Due to that, what will happen? It's impacting on the duration, what we had finalized earlier. So there are two different scope. One is scope, which is in our territory, which is in our limits. Second, out of scope, which is not in our limits. So understanding and writing objectives need scope of the project is also equally important, apart from understanding the business problem as well. Clear, Pawan?
Yeah.
Next, analyzing. Second point, analyzing what kind of solution is expecting. So here we need to understand few things. Is there anything customer or a client, whoever they are, right? Customer is expecting. If yes, right? What are the possibilities? Next, how to develop. So these questions you need to answer, right? These questions you have to get answered, because especially for a BA, there will be three things, because it maybe looks funny, but 3 points are there. Why, what, and how. So being a BA, we need to have a clarity on these three. Either you are a BA or a Scrum Master or a product owner or a project manager, whoever you are, whoever we are. We need to have a clarity on these 3 points throughout the project. For anything, whatever the task you do, you need to have clarity on these. Being a business analyst or a project manager, or you're a product owner or you're a Scrum Master, irrespective of the role you manage, right? We manage. We
Why is that
require
the
three.
customer is willing to do this?
Absolutely.
What
Right.
is the
Why are we
reason for
developing?
his expansion?
Right.
And
Why
how
are
is
we
he going
developing?
to
Or
use that?
absolutely right. Why are we developing? Or why are we taking this requirement to consideration? Whatever it is, right? What are in this, right? What are involved in this, right? What are all involved in this, right? Next, how to develop. Of course, for how to develop and all, with the help of technical team anyway. But being a business analyst as well as the team, we need to have clarity on three things: why, what, and how. Why am I taking this? Why customer is asking? Why customer is insisting me to complete in less time, right? Why customer is facing trouble? This is all comes under why. Next, what do we require? What we have understood, right? What are features and functionalities were involved in this, right? What things do I need to involve to make it completed in limited time? This is all something comes under what? How to develop that, how to understand, right? So we need to have clarity on these 3 points for sure, being a solution provider for any of the
In
customer.
this,
This is
in this
irrespective of
how,
technology and domain. Yes,
in this
please go ahead.
how will that not be involved? How the customer uses, or it's just out of that?
How to develop first. You see, how to develop, in what way this is useful to the customer. That is different again.
Okay.
See, how to develop means how to develop this means to develop this, what kind of arrangements do we require? Either it may be a software requirement, or it may be hardware requirement, all that. Now you are developing nothing but make sure this must be used by the customer effectively. That also you have to make sure. Otherwise, there is no point in development, isn't it? Right? So you have to see the practical difficulty of usage as well, right? I'm providing solution from my side, but is it amicable for a end user to use it? Is it possible for him? Is he finding any kind of difficulty in future to use it? That we have to see, right or not? The best example you can see in e-commerce businesses, e-commerce portals. How e-commerce portals will be successful, not just because of the offers they give, maybe offers and all everything, maybe of some percentage, but due to the user experience, right? We have adjusted to the user experience, right? How, because some websites, if you see, I cannot tell you practically, some websites, if you can see how long you use, you'll be adjusted to use that website or the application long time, because the kind of user experience, the grandeur, the simplicity, everything will be phenomenal, right or not? Right? So user experience is required. User should not feel any difficulty in using the application. This is where the problem is. See, I have given a solution, but it's not understandable for you. What will be the reason? What will be the value then? Do we have any value for that? We don't have any value, isn't it? Right? So how to develop? Means once you are developing, is this really possible for a customer to use it or not? So all these, based on the conclusion and all, development will be taken place. Means development process will be taken place further. So need to have clarity on these 3 points for sure. Throughout the project, I'm saying, right? Not only on the requirements. Maybe in between some requirements were changed. Everywhere we need to get clarity on these 3 points: why, what, and how. Clear, Pawan?
Yeah.
Now the second point is done. Now third, providing business solution. Here next, again in connection to the second point, I am writing here, right? What kind of business solution is suitable for the client? Next, we need to assess the acceptance level, right? Next, how important to provide solution to the client at this point, because sometimes customer is insisting us to provide solution as earliest, but as it is connecting to technology, everything is not in our hands, because end of the day it's a human intervention, right? It's a human intervention, right? So that you cannot complete in overnight. It takes time. So we come to an understanding that, boss, what is required for you first, right? You please provide me, right? We come to a conclusion that what is required for you, you please tell me, so that I'll be giving it to you first. That's how generally the conclusion we come for, right? So because whenever we negotiations taken place in any business, this is how we do, because some things may not be possible for us to complete on time. So what is the best thing to do that? The best thing is that, boss, forget about the whole one. Okay, what is required, when, do provide me that. So based on that, my development plan will be prepared accordingly, right or not? Right? This is how generally we work. So this is what generally we need to do in the third point. Next, translating all these into technical solution is what? With the help of technical team. So here we have to see the possibility, right? We have to see the possibility of development, right? That also we have to see here. So this with the help of technical team. Assume that I am developing a cloud-based point of sale system for the customer is what we have decided. Is there any possibility for to development? Right, that we have to see the cost as well, right? What is the cost which is involved in development, right? Whatever the budget allocated, is it possible for us to complete within that budget or not? Do we require any kind of additional budget to be taken into an account or not? All these things comes under this point. Next, third point, make sure to complete the project within the existing time frame by the team members. Business analyst make sure business analyst always see if any changes or queries both the parties having, right? Right? Always have to choose it because you have to see
Mhm.
from the both the concept, right? You have to see from the business angle, you have to see from the technical angle. Because meanwhile, customer requirements may be changed sometimes.
Mhm.
Sometimes the kind of problem what technical people may be facing will be different, right? So they may be having some problem in between where they want to have some solution for that. So it's a continuous effort. Being a business analyst, you have to travel right from the inception to delivery of the project. So you have to make sure team has to complete the project within the limited timeline, within the timeline what we have finalized, with
Mhm.
all the promised deliveries, whatever the project deliverables we have finalized, that we have to complete within time. That being a business analyst is our responsibility.
Mhm.
Next, ensuring release with all project documentation means this is what we call it as project documentation, right? Any project will be connecting with documentation, right? Or else you can call it as help or user manuals, whatever the name it is. Project documentation is required for any of the project. This is what being a business analyst we do in real environment.
Mhm.
Clear, Pawan?
Yeah.
I'll be sharing this document to you. So because this is a session notes, which
Yeah.
will be
Yeah.
useful to you to review yourself, right? So whenever
Definitely.
you
Yeah.
go through the video recordings, you can go through this as well. Because
Mhm.
what will happen, I'll share the material in between
Mhm.
anyway. Sometimes
Mhm.
I'll share the
Mhm.
material, but material will be standard in its nature. Because there
Mhm.
will be some points whenever I'm explaining will come instantly that I cannot put it on the on the document. When I'm preparing
Mhm.
material,
Mhm.
the approach and the kind of standard will be different. But
Mhm.
when our taking we are classes and all, whatever the explanation we give, the examples, everything will be different.
Got you.
Hence, this is what we call it as session notes, running notes, something of that sort. You can use
Mhm.
it.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, so this is what
Yeah.
generally being a BA you do it. Next,
Mhm.
if you are a project manager, make sure project must be completed within the within allocated budget, right? Whatever the budget allocated, you have to complete this project within that budget because any project manager will be allocated some budget for the project.
Mhm.
So you have to complete project within that budget. That is the success rate. Second, make sure all the team is ready to develop, right? So you need to hire a proper team, right? Manpower management, manpower
Mhm.
resourcing,
Mhm.
everything is
Mhm.
required. So
Mhm.
this is also being a project manager we have to do. Next, tracking the progress of work, right? So you have to track the progress. So because project manager is the whole responsibility for the whole project, right from the
Mhm.
beginning to end, right? So this is all something belongs to everything because business analyst is confined only to the requirements and client, but project manager is for everything, right? He is responsible for
Mhm.
everything
Mhm.
in project. Understand,
Mhm.
right? This is what generally a project manager do.
Got you.
Now, if you are a product owner, right? Because this explanation, what I'm going to provide you, product owner, scrum master, is a high level explanation I am giving. So whenever
Mhm.
I explain about agile and all that, these detailing will comes there. Okay. Hence,
Okay.
no
Okay.
confusion. So if you are a product owner, the first thing is that you need to define the goal and as well as vision of the product. Next, developing epics and writing user stories. User story is nothing but it's a short way of explaining the requirements. This is what we call it as user story. Means instead of writing BRDs, SRS, what we do, we write user stories. So hence the amount of time you are spending to prepare documentation, everything will be reduced, because the agile advantage in agile is this: you don't see any documentation. No, I don't say no documentation, less documentation. I can say that, right?
Okay.
So that is the advantage you see from traditional to agile development. So if you are a product owner, you need to define the goal and vision of the product, developing epics, writing user stories and all that. After that, creating and maintaining product backlog. This is what generally being a product owner you do. Product backlog, nothing but whatever the user stories we write, because writing user stories is a continuous process. Now you have 10 user stories. Maybe after that it may go up to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 and so on, right? So there must be a storage. There must be a repository to store all these. How to store and all everything, I'll tell you later, right? So there must be a repository to store all that. So for that, product backlog is being used for. Clear, Pavan?
Yes.
Right? In agile environment, this is what being a product owner we do. In reference to the Scrum Master role, managing Scrum team or a development team, I can say, right? Whatever the name it is, managing Scrum team, assisting them if any problem arises, next, tracking the progress of work, etc. This is what generally being a Scrum Master you do. In simple terms, I can say Scrum Master is a role something similar to Project Manager role. Similar to, right? I am not equalizing. I'm not equalizing because there is no replacement for that, right? So I'm not saying that this is a replacement of project manager, because real environment project manager will have a lot of authorities, but Scrum Master will not have any authority at all, right? So you don't have any control on the team to take any necessary actions or something. So there are a lot many things to discuss.
In terms of the drivable facts of the project.
Absolutely. It's only to liaise, that's it, right? So he don't have any other apart. So Scrum Master will be something different. So something similar to connect to project manager, that I can say. Next, product owner is a person who will be usually considered as a person who is coming from business analyst profiles will become product owners. Why? Because defining the goal and vision, writing user stories, all that can be done by the product owner.
Okay.
Why? Because product owner will be a client representative. Always we see product owner as a client representative. Whereas in real environment, what is BA? BA is also a client representative. Am I right or not? Right?
Yeah.
Business analyst will also be a client representative indirectly. Why? Because what is required to the client, what is expecting by the client and all, everything will be identified by the product owner. So product owner will also do the same, right? So product owner, so business analyst people majorly comes into product owner. A person who is having project management experience comes into Scrum Master, but this is not guaranteed all the time. Sometimes, because if you can take mine as a profile, I started my career as a business analyst. After that, I was a senior business analyst for some time. Next, I was a Scrum Master. Next, I'm an Agile coach. Meanwhile, I worked as a product owner also.
Okay.
I worked as a product owner also, but earlier I worked as a Scrum Master and Agile coach. It's a best combination. Scrum Master Agile coach is a best combination. Come Agile coach. After that, now I am a pure Agile coach. I am not a Scrum Master anymore. I am a pure Agile coach now.
Okay.
So business analyst need not be a product owner all the time. Depends on the roles and responsibilities what that profile requires, and the expertise, what this person expertise of varies. Some people will become product owners, some people will become scrum masters, some people will stay as a scrum masters for a long time. But now, if you can take mine as a consideration, I've came across, I've changed my career from Scrum Master to Agile Coach. I became an Agile Coach due to my passion towards coaching teams and all that. So I've turned my profile to Agile coaching side because I don't want to stick on to a Scrum Master for a long time. Okay, I did, but how long should I work as a Scrum Master? So I have chosen another career of Agile Coach as well, because Agile Coach is the person who will be coaching Scrum Masters and product owners next to the profile.
The upper level
In
of
simple
it.
terms, we understand top to the left is that Agile Coach for that whole projects I'm saying. Being an Agile Coach, my responsibility is to manage couple of projects.
Okay.
See, it is very simple, Pawan. You know football, you can play football, but you don't follow rules. What will happen? You will not be qualified, right? You will not be taken into account. Why? Because you know football, how to play, but you don't follow rules. So there must be someone to coach you. There must be someone to guide you, isn't it? Agree or not?
Yes, yes.
Agile coach is also that. People are all maybe experienced towards agile. Some people may be new entrants to agile. Some people may be experienced in agile. But at the end of the day, they don't follow. There must be someone to guide them.
But in terms of
That's
Scrum,
what the
also
role of agile coach.
it's almost a similar kind of role, right? Like they are also trying to follow the rules and try to drive the facts of the project. And what is the
Yes.
whole?
Yeah, agile coach, the major difference is agile coach is majorly focusing on coaching people. Scrum master may not be coaching people, right? Scrum master may not have, sometimes he may be knowledge of coaching, or sometimes Scrum master is only managing the Jira board, all that, right? What are the Jira boards and all everything? Managing the Jira board is what Scrum master do. But agile coach about to that. He has to see from overall perspective. He has to see the health of the project, right? What is the health of the project? He has to see. All this he has to taken care of as an agile coach,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
You need to maintain common equality among team, product owners, scrum master, all that. So that equality you have to maintain. So that for that, what kind of practices, what kind of measures you taking, right? All these are the responsibilities of an agile coach.
Okay. Got you.
Scrum master is majorly focusing only onto the team. That how he do managing the Jira board. That's it. Through using Jira board, he do all that. You're clear?
Okay. Yeah.
This is how generally the whole responsibilities of either BA or a product owner, project manager, product owner, and scrum master. So these are the roles and responsibilities. Clear, Pawan?
Yeah, it's clear.
Right. So tomorrow means next week we are going to start the SDLC process. What is SDLC? We start from there, right? Because we belongs to IT BA, right? We are belongs to IT business analyst. We are working for IT company as a business analyst. So first of all, we must be knowing about what is SDLC stands for. Software development life cycle. What are the stages are there? What are the models we have? All these we must be knowing. So that will be explained. We'll start from next week onwards.
Sure.
Right, Pawan?
Done. Yeah.
Any queries apart?
No for now. As I have a little bit of what is what, I'm able to grab the things a little quick.
Okay. Right. We meet next week on the same time, but I'll be giving you a meeting ID later. A new meeting ID will be provided next week, so that you please attend accordingly. Okay. On same time at 6 o'clock evening.
Done. Yeah.
Right, Pawan. See you then. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Thank you. Good day. Bye.
Thank you.